Okay, going to cover the last few topics in the number stuff. So, ratio and proportion. Something we might be asked to do with a ratio. Now, ratios compare parts. We might be asked to simplify a ratio. So let's say that this is a group of students, and maybe it is the ratio of year 9 to year 10 to year 11 students in a group trip. So if we want to simplify this, we need to divide all three parts by the same thing. So I could divide by 2, and if I do that, I would get 6 to 9 to 12. They all divide by 2. Then I've got to divide by 3 goes into all of these, so I can divide again, and 3's and 6 go 2, divide by 3, divide by 3. So in effect, what I did was I divided by 2, then I divided by 3. Now, it might be a little bit more efficient to have just divided straight away by 6, but it doesn't really matter. There is my simplified ratio. Another thing we need to do with ratios is to share a given ratio. So let's share $300 in the ratio 2 to 3. Well, the first thing you need to do is to add the parts together. There are in total 2 plus 3, 5 parts in total. So we're going to split 300 into 5 equal parts. So we'll do 300 divided by 5. 300 divided by 5, we get 60. And so that is 1 part. Let me just recap that. We add the parts of the ratio together. That tells us how many parts in total. Then we find out 1 part by dividing our amount by the total parts. So here 300 divided by 5 is 60, and 60 is 1 part. Now we're not finished yet because we need to say how much the 2 parts is worth and how much the 3 parts is worth. Well, the 2 parts is 2 times 60, which is 120. And the 3 parts is 3 times 60, which is 180. So I did 2 times the 1 part, and I did 3 times the 1 part to give me those 2 values there. So that is it. Sharing in the ratio there, we've ended up with $120 to $180. That's the 2 parts. Now, you won't always be given an amount and then told to share. You might have to interpret a ratio. So let's look at this question. Ali and Iham share an amount in the ratio 5 to 3. If Iham gets 90 Omani Riyals, how much does Ali get? So we need to think about what we're being told here. The ratio is always in order. So Ali is the first part here, 5. Iham is the second part here, 3. So if Iham gets 90 OMR, then he is the 3 parts. So again, a crucial thing to try and work out is what is 1 part worth. If you can find 1 part, you can solve most questions. Well, if 3 parts is Iham's, and that is 90, well, I just need to divide by 3 to work out 1 part. So 1 part equals 90 divided by 3, which is 30 OMR. So 1 part is 30 OMR. Now, if I want to know how much Ali gets, well, he is 5 parts. So he's going to get 5 times 30, 150 OMR. But the real crucial thing here is to try and work out 1 part. If you work out 1 part, all the questions become easy. There are many different ways they can ask these questions, but pretty much every time, finding 1 part is the best way to get your solution. Okay, that's about all there is for ratio. Fractions, decimals, and percentages and converting. We'll see if we can go through these very quickly. Converting a fraction to a decimal. Well, this line means divide in a fraction, so we do 2 divided by 5. And in this case, we get 0.4. You can just type a conversion button S to D. Different calculators have them on there. If we wanted to do that without a calculator, we might have to do 2 divided by 5 in shorthand. 5s into 2, can't do it. 5s into 20, go 4. Depends how you like to do your division there. Fraction to a percentage, well, it's kind of the same as finding the decimal and then a case of timesing by 100. So I could do 3 divided by 20, then multiply by 100. And I would get 15% in this case. If we don't have a calculator, then what we want to do is try and make it over 100. Well, in this case, if I times by 5 on the bottom, I get 100. So I'll times by 5 on the top. And in this case, I get 15 over 100, which is, of course, 15%. Right, decimal to a fraction. Here you need to consider column headings. We've got units, then we've got tenths, then we've got hundredths. So 0.03 is 3 hundredths. Sometimes you'll need to simplify that. You might need to go to thousandths as well, but that's the basic principle. Think about the column headings, tenths, hundredths, and then write it over that. Decimal to a percentage, just times by 100. And so this one, 12.3%. That's one of the easy ones. Percentage to decimal, just divide by 100. So this is 0.18. Percentage to a fraction, well, percent means out of 100. So 45% means 45 out of 100. And then we could simplify, divide by 5, divide by 5, 9 over 20. And that's converting between fractions, decimals, and percentages. All right, a couple of quick, simple percentages, things that we might need to do. Find a percentage of an amount. Well, you can do this as 85% means divide by 100. Then of can be times, and we get 204 in that example. Or you can treat this as the decimal, 0.85, and do that times 240. Gives you the same answer, obviously. 2 different simple methods. Right, 34 out of 80 as a percentage. Quite a common question, this one. Well, 35 out of 80. We then have to simply multiply by 100 to convert it into a percentage. So 35 divided by 80 is 0.4375, and then times by 100 is 43.75%. So write it as a fraction, times by 100. Okay, last little bit, we're going to look at rounding. So a few different rounding questions here. We've got decimal place, then we've got significant figures, a couple of examples. Well, with all rounding, what we want to do is highlight up to the thing we're looking for. So here we're doing 1 decimal place. So I'm going to highlight up to that 1 decimal place. Sorry, that's a bit messy, we'll try that again. Highlight up to the 1 decimal place. Then I look at the next digit along. If it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we leave the values alone, and this case we just get 81.7. If that was 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, the number I'm pointing at, then we would round up. And 817 would become 818. You kind of add 1. You just bump it up by 1. Right, the second one, significant figures. Significant figures, we always come in from the left, and we're saying, so 2 here is the most significant figure. So I'm going to highlight 2 significant figures. Then I look at the next number along. Well, in this case, it's a 6. So we're going to round up. 27 is going to become 28. But I'm not finished, because that 2 is in the thousands column. And that 8 needs to be in the hundreds, so I need some placeholders up to the decimal point. So this number rounded to 2 significant figures is 2,800. Let's look at an example with small ones. 3 significant figures. Well, I have to ignore the first zeros and start counting 1, 2, 3 significant figures there. Then I look at the next digit along, it's a 6, so I'm going to round up. And the 4 to 9, we need some placeholders here, 0, 0. 4 to 9 plus 1 is going to be 4, 3, 0. And we do leave a 0 there to show that it has 1, 2, 3 significant figures of rounding. It is quite an accurate number. Okay, there you go. That's the last part there. We've covered everything I think that we wanted to cover.